Joining me now, Georgia Republican Congressman Doug Collins. He sits on the House Judiciary and Rules Committees. There were some tense moments ahead of this vote because it looked like you and some others might withhold approval of going to conference. Some have called it a political stunt. Was it?
No, I think what you're having here is just an honest family discussion, and it really wasn't as much about tax reform as where we're at with other issues going forward and how we balance those coming up into the end of the year. So I think, everybody wants to sidetrack us. I mean, everybody wants to get us off of the topic of tax reform. Tax reform is coming. People a few months ago, I was in front of these cameras and they were saying, oh, you'll never get it, you'll never get it. Well, the Senate passed it last week. We've passed it. We now passed last night going to conference. Tax reform is coming. The administration's on board. The House and Senate are on board. We're looking forward to staying focused on that. And I think it was just a discussion more of where we're at the end of this year, and tax reform is on track.
You say the administration's on board. You stepped out of the House chamber to take a call from the president last night. What did he say?
Yeah, that was not me last night. That was, I think, one of my other colleagues last night to take that call. But I think what he is saying, it shows engaged. And that's the one thing that we have a different tenor here on the Hill is that you have a president who is engaged. He has a president who has said that this is good for our economy. He understands the working class and what they're doing and how they need the tax reform and how our business need it to make us competitive across the globe. When you do that, you have a president who is engaged like that, working with Congress, realizing Congress has a role to play here. That's the way that government's supposed to be working, and we're proud to see that the president's been a part of that.
Yeah, it was my mistake. It was Mark Meadows who took that phone call. My apologies.
No problem. Mark's a good friend, and we're working together for the same things.
I'm sure you'd like to hear from the president at any time. So what do you tell your constituents? What do you tell the American people is in this tax bill for them if, in fact, it does get passed?
Well, I think what we're going to tell them is that you're going to be seeing real reform in your taxes, not only in the individual rates, but in your businesses. We're actually going to be unleashing the potential that we know is here. I've said this before. I said we've got an energy policy now that lets us be energy independent. We've got a workforce that's always been the best. We've got a business and entrepreneurship that makes us the envy of the world. We had the worst tax system in the world. Now we're fixing that. So when you look at that, they're going to be able to see more money in their paycheck. They're going to have a standard deduction that's going to be raised for singles and families. We're going to have companies now that can have expensing of their capital purchases so that they can actually begin to add pieces of equipment and add people for those jobs. When you look at that, that's what we're trying to fight for here. We're fighting for an economy that has been stagnant, and people got used to 1.8, 1.9% growth. We're not satisfied with that. Republicans and the president are not satisfied. We want to make sure that our growth potential is there, and we're going to keep fighting for that.
Nancy Pelosi, the House Minority Leader, says this is the end of the world. This is Armageddon. How do you respond?
Nancy Pelosi is the queen of hyperbole. She is just amazing. She doesn't like it. But here's the problem. It's a simple fact. She is in love with a government that likes to spend your money. So she's going to say everything she can to keep as much money in Washington, D.C. to do what she wants to do it with. We believe that the American people and businesses are the ones that drive this country, not the federal government. Federal government has a proper role, regulatory burden. Those are the kind of things we work on. But when you look at it this way, if that's her view of giving money back to the American people, I'd love to see her explain that one over the next year.